the subject matter of this protective order is not to be disclosed.
And is that marked indicating that there was anything disclosed, withheld from the discovery?
No, it's not marked.
You look at page 2 of that document, please.
Yes.
We'll just have to speak up.
Okay.
Who knows how long that's... What is paragraph 5 in Mr. Nifong's discovery responses?
Again, the state's required to give the defendant under our open file discovery law notice of any expert witness that the state intends to call as a witness at trial. That paragraph 5 appears to be Mr. Nifong's notice of what experts that he intended to call at trial.
Okay, and is there any indication of whether or not there's information that's attached related to those experts?
Yes.
All right, and what does it say about whether that information is attached?
It says, do you mind if I just read it?
That's fine.
Okay. The state hereby provides notice to the defendant of the following expert witnesses reasonably expected to testify in the trial of this matter is required by NCGS 15A 903A2. Included in the defendant's copy of the discovery documents are the reports, data, opinions, underlying basis for any opinion, resumes, statements of qualifications, and or curricula vitae of these expert witnesses made available to the state. If any of these documents are not available at this time, they will be provided to the defendant at a reasonable time before trial. And then the paragraph lists the witnesses that he or the state intended to call at trial, thus subjecting them and the state to the requirements of disclosure under 903A2.
Okay. And do those people, can you generally describe who they are? Do you know who they are?
A lot of them were mentioned by Agent Lane yesterday. Most of them are SBI forensic laboratory technicians. One of them is Tara Levacy, who was the same nurse who performed the examination at Duke University emergency room on the night of March the 13th. Jay Manley is Dr. Julie Manley, who was the doctor that did the rape kit with Ms. Levacy. And then there are Brian W. Meehan and R.W. Scales, who are both employees of DNA Security Incorporated.
Okay. And you said you did receive with that a copy of the May 12th report from DNA Security?
Yes.
Did you receive a copy of the other reports from the SBI on the testing that had been done?
Yes.
And what about the report from Ms. Levacy or Dr. Manley?
Yes, we received a portion of, there are basically two different types of medical records. There were automated medical records from Duke University that recorded all of the observations and comments that were made, or observations by medical personnel and comments made by Ms. Mangum to actual hospital personnel at Duke. And then there was a report that Tara Levacy and Dr. Manley had completed together regarding the sexual assault examination. We received copies of those and copies of the entirety of the medical records.
And when you received those reports, what was your understanding from that about whether you had the reports from these experts when they were produced?
We thought we had gotten everything.
Was there anything on the May 12th DNA Security report to indicate to you that you did not have a final report with all the results?
No. In fact, on that date, at that particular hearing that Mr. Nifong represented, in addition to this, he represented Judge Stevens, that we had been given everything.
Okay. Did you subsequently serve discovery requests on Mr. Nifong?
Yes. You mean on behalf of Dave?
On behalf of Mr. Evans?
Yeah, on behalf of Mr. Evans, yes.
Would you look at Exhibit 218, please?
Yep.
Is that the request for voluntary discovery and a motion to compel you served on Mr. Nifong in this case, for Mr.
Yes.
Evans?
Yes.
And in paragraph A3 on page 1, I'm sorry, when that was filed and served on May 26, 2006?
Yes.
And on A3, the first part of that, is that a general discovery request that you do in most or all criminal cases?
Yes, sir.
And in paragraph A3, does it ask for the results of all tests and examinations performed in the case?
Yes.
And can you read what you requested in paragraph A5?
Yes. All materials in the possession or control of the prosecutorial and law enforcement agencies involved in the investigation and prosecution of this matter, which are also required to be disclosed under Brady versus Maryland, Giglio versus the United States versus Eggers, and Rule 3.8D of the North Carolina Rules of Professional Conduct, including but not limited to evidence tending to negate the defendant's guilt and affect the credibility of any prosecuting witness in this case. Examples of such material to include. And there's a list of examples.
Okay. And that was the first discovery request you served on Mr. Nifong in this case?
Yes. And I would note that it also asked for any evidence, physical or otherwise, which would tend to negate any witness's description of the commission of the alleged crime.
Right. And flipping over to page 3, did you make any requests with respect to expert witnesses or their testimony?
Yes.
All right. And what paragraph B2, can you read that, please?
Regarding expert witnesses and expert witness testimony, a report of the results of any examinations or tests conducted by the experts.
Can you flip to page 10, please?
Yes.
And generally, what types of items are you requesting on page 10 and why?
There was, as I said, we had received, and I guess now I know it's a 49-page investigative narrative memo that Investigator Hyman had put together. That was something that we received in the initial discovery that was given to us on May the 18th. It was clear to us in reading that 49-page narrative that there was a substantial amount of information about the investigation that had been done, and in some cases long since been done, that we didn't have information about. So this sort of final bullet paragraph here gave examples of that and of information that we were specifically seeking based on a review of that narrative.
Okay. And if you'll go down to the bullet points are all things that you were requesting based on what you saw in primarily in Investigator Hyman's notes?
Right, or what we knew from public comments that we had read.
Okay. And can you read the second bullet point on page 10, please?
On April 10th, 2006, Detective Hyman, Sergeant Gottlieb, and District Attorney Mike Nifong met with Brian Meehan, Director of DNA Securities.
Okay.
There is no substantive report about the content of this meeting in discovery.
You had not received any information about that April 10th meeting?
No.
Did you subsequently serve a supplemental discovery request on Mr. Nifong?
Yes.
And can you look at Exhibit 219 and identify that for me?
Exhibit 219 is the supplemental discovery motion that we served on Mr. Nifong. I believe this is June the 15th, 2006.